enforcement wasn't putting an importance into it. When, dude, I think, look, a lot of people in true crime community are not like privately trained investigators or in law enforcement classes, anything like that, where you're actually trained through a program. Most of us are self-taught, and I would say 95% of people in the true crime community saw that as a problem. What do you mean it doesn't matter what's in their toxicology? What do you mean that you're not looking to see if potentially they could have been drugged and that's why they were able to be taken advantage of? What do you mean that you're not looking for any of these connections to other locals in the area that, hey, we found this type of drug in their system, and these people in this area sell this. So let's start talking to connections. What do you mean?
Yeah, saying the toxicology report isn't important is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Now, I would also like to point out that's not true. There's no way that could be true. That's not true. The toxicology report does matter, and it wasn't clean like they say it was. No. It's not possible for them to have came back with nothing in their systems. Right. Every single one of them was out partying that night. Every single one of them smokes pot. Every single one of them drinks alcohol, and God knows what else. They all
smoke pot though, because I didn't. I know there are statements that
there's statements from family members saying that they all smoked pot.
No, I get that. I hear you. I just want to remain objective, that we don't have any evidence that we can say in concrete 100% they all smoke pot. But there's very clear evidence about the alcohol.
Okay, there's very clear objective evidence that they all drink alcohol, and there's very clear evidence from Kaylee's family that she actively smoked pot, and Xana. Now, Ethan, not 100% sure. Maddie, not 100% sure, but it's pretty likely. And there's many videos that have been posted around the internet that show actually the Sigma Chi fraternity. I think it's actually Jen on Twitter. She's a viewer of our channel, that posted videos of them having like huge bags of mushrooms and weed and all kinds of other stuff. So
yeah, not surprising.
Not surprising, because this is a way of life in college, and especially fraternities.
Agreed. Yep.
Especially a social fraternity like Sigma Chi. It's not an academic fraternity. It is a social one that is for partying.
Yeah, and I think we pretty much covered it. This was a completely unplanned topic, but I personally, like I was telling you guys, my jaw was on the floor when I watched.
Dude, I can't believe that. I had no idea they lost that footage. I've been thinking this whole time that they had it.
I agreed.
And I was so curious what it looked like, because that picture was so weird.
And that's why we're talking about it right now, because I think it's that important, because it doesn't make sense. Things aren't adding up.
If there's anything in specific you want us to dig more into, like, I'm really curious about these screams now. I want to go watch the breakdown of it, and the dog. Definitely let us know, because I don't even know what to think about this at this point.
Me neither. But I want to know what your questions are, you guys. I want to know how you feel about it. I want to know what some other evidence is out there of there being major question marks with the investigation, because I feel like you can close your eyes and throw, a dart or something, and you're going to hit where a mistake.
You're going to hit a crack.
Yeah, every time. But let me know what you think, and let those thoughts riot. Man, I had top chat on. I don't know what I'm doing. Mega fail. Mega fail. Mega fail. Mega fail. All right. I think that was I had a completely different video planned, you guys, completely different video planned. And when I saw that video right away, I sent it to Malia and I was like, "Hey, check this out. You need to check this out." And she was like, "You have to change your topics. There's nothing, it doesn't matter what you're talking about, you got to change your topics." And I think it's that serious, because for one, right, regardless of the situation, the police didn't attempt to go back and pick that video up for 3 to 4 weeks. Man, now I understand the major concerns with all the families, especially the Goncalves family, right? With the type of person that Steve Goncalves is. If I was there and I was hearing those things and it was my kid, oh man, I don't know. Oh, Greg, you got to go back and watch it. But I don't know what I would be doing, you guys. I have no idea. But it blew me away. So welcome everybody to the True Crime Talk Show. My name is Brendan. Malia should be here soon. I believe she's on her way over here now. And she should be in here soon. But welcome to the show. You can find us on every social media, every single one of them. We are on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We're on Discord, and I'll post that link here shortly, because in order to be a part of Discord, you got to be able to have that invite. It is /ThoughtRiotPodcast on all the social medias. And come hang out with us. Come talk with us on there. We have a Patreon. On Patreon, we're patreon.com/ThoughtRiotPodcast, all the way spelt out on all the social media platforms except for Twitter. On Twitter, we are /ThoughtRiotPod. And just make sure you guys, all the Thought Rioters out there, hit that like button, please, if you're having a good time. Leave a comment under the video, please, if you're having a good time. It does so much more than I could ever explain to you guys. So much more. We've been having some issues with our account lately. Finally, we're getting it fixed and cleared up. Finally, it takes forever to get somebody to do a full diagnostic on your account. But we have the evidence and what we need to do to get it. So a comment and a like helps circumvent any of those issues that we're having. So we appreciate it ahead of time, you guys. And that video was crazy. If you guys are on here, because I know we have a lot of viewers that prefer the lives. Like, I can see the analytics. I can see in our analytics that a lot of people that watch our lives don't watch our pre-recorded content, and vice versa. It's literally cut down the middle. We have people that love our pre-recorded content, but then don't watch the lives. It's just not their thing. I get it. But in my opinion, regardless of if you watch pre-recorded content or if you watch the lives, you got to watch that video. You have got to watch that video. It blew my mind in a way that, when's the last time I had something blow my mind like that in this account? Not this account, in this case. I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess when I found out that DNA is not black and white, that's probably the last time I had my mind blown to this magnitude, is when I found out that DNA is not this or that it is all percentages of likelihood of a match. And that was a while ago. And then to see this, because look, and Malia's here, she'll be up here in just a minute. But look, there have been so many videos, hundreds, if not thousands of videos made talking about the directions he drove and where he was expected to be at what times. I'll post that link for you. Hang on. And most of it is based off of. There we go. All right, I just posted that link for anybody that's in this chat and hasn't watched that video. But most of it is based off of that footage there where we see that picture. And I'll pull that picture up because I actually have another picture here too, which brings major questions, even more questions to the situation. Because based on the video we just watched, I'll go through a brief rundown of that video. And I'm not, and to be clear, I see some people talking about like the main person who did that video, and I don't mean it in a bad way or anything like that. We only know the information we get, right? And this whole time we've been told, like, if you would have asked me 3 days ago what, you know, about that footage, I'd have been like, yeah, they have video footage of it. Of course. What are you talking about? You know? So his videos were good. His videos were really good. But then when I saw this, I'm like, ooh, okay, we have a CIA officer, which when you look at overall law enforcement training expectations, the CIA is double any other agency in overall training. So CIA minimum training requirements are 18 months. 18 months, all right? I think I looked all these up, but I think in the video it was FBI is 6 months, right? Is that right? I think so. And local law enforcement is 6 weeks. So a month and a half, 6 weeks. So when I'm looking for people to trust, right? And just because you're law enforcement, just because you went through training, that doesn't mean that you're 100% trustworthy. And I get that. I understand that. And there's no guarantee that this is 100%, but you have her coming up here and with at least personal subjective evidence saying, hey, yes, this is what happened. That video footage has been recorded over. So that picture, I'll pull it up real quick while Malia gets up here. Where are you at? Where are you at? There you go. There you go. All right. And then where is my other one here? Hang on. There we go. Okay. Now I understand the importance of these pictures, by the way, you guys. I get it. Okay. So the picture we're talking about, right? Okay, so we're told that the Bryan Kohberger drove past this gas station and this picture was snapped. So I'm trying to figure out if I should go into all the backstory. I think I should. So basically what happened that night is this car drove past this gas station, okay? The gas station clerk says, based off of his statement, that he noticed this car driving past the gas station and thought it was weird. He said that he just happened to see it speeding and just had a feeling that he needed to pull the footage, okay? That's what we're told here. So when he goes in there to pull the footage, he sees the footage, he takes this picture, and then he takes this other picture, which I'll show you in a minute, and he alerts police, all right? Well, this gas station automatically records over their footage every week. The police did not come for 3 to 4 weeks. They did not come for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, they didn't come even looking for it for weeks, which, you know what's really strange is this is the only picture we've ever been given of what is allegedly Bryan Kohberger's car. This is something Nancy Grace claims cracked this case wide open. Yeah, it's the worst picture, and the police lost the footage.
Yeah.
They don't have it.
No,
And the whole gas
it's not.
station was caution taped off.
Yeah, they didn't lose the footage. They never went and picked it up.
Right.
They never went and picked it up. So it is their fault that it's gone 100%, but they never went and picked this footage up, okay? My mind is blown here, you guys. I don't understand. One, I don't understand why this guy would have felt like he needed to pull this recording. Like I'm trying to imagine myself and put myself in that gas station attendant's shoes, and if I'm sitting there, right, and that's a job you probably have a lot of hangout time, especially when you're in this time of the night or whatever, the early morning hours, and you see a car speed past. How many gas station attendants are going to go, oh, that car was speeding, I bet they are attached to a crime, and I bet it's a serious one. I better go pull this footage. Right? I just don't see it, you guys. Do you? Could you see that? I don't see it. And this picture is so bad. So bad. All of mainstream media ran with it. The police never went and picked up this footage. So any other footage that's on there is effectively gone, you guys. All of it. And this gas station is placed on the main road where it's a 50% chance that the person's car would have got caught on this gas station's video footage, because there's, it's a road one way or the other way. And I'm pretty sure it's 50-50. I need to pull up the map again, but I think you can come from one direction, which is way out of the way, or you can come from this direction, which is a more straight line shot to 1122. And whether Bryan Kohberger is guilty or innocent, that could have shown a lot. That footage could have shown, if there was any stalking and or circling leading up to the crime, that could have shown if he was there the day before, the week before, anything like that. That could have shown a lot of things. A lot of things. And they never went and picked it up. I don't understand. Now here's this, you guys, okay? I put this in the video, but I didn't describe it. I didn't give you guys the rundown on what it is, okay? This is supposedly the gas station clerks verifying shot, okay?
This is the verification picture, supposedly.
To prove that the picture we just saw is real.
Not very great, is it?
Am I losing my mind here? Like,
I see like maybe a tire in the corner. Like maybe. What even is that?
What? I don't. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's
it kind of looks like it's a camera like face down at the ground right here, but I do not see a car here. Okay, whether Bryan Kohberger is innocent or guilty, the police messed up here. This is a major mistake. This is I can't even put enough emphasis on how big of a mistake this is. I really can't. And this is our exact concern. God, my sweater keeps getting stuck to. This is our exact concern with this case, you guys, is whether you think Bryan Kohberger is innocent or whether you think Bryan Kohberger is guilty. To me, it doesn't feel like we're going to ever be able to know the truth, because I don't feel like the investigation was done effectively enough to have trustworthy evidence. Do you?
Not really, no. It's really bizarre, though, that they would wait that long. They claim, I mean, from what we know, they were supposedly out canvassing within like 24 hours.
Right. Yeah. And this guy claims that he pulled this footage that night.
Like, look at how
this says 11
13.
Yeah, I get it, but like, dude, come on. 11:13, 3:45 a.m. You realize that is like doesn't show anything. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
No, it doesn't prove anything.
Nothing. I know it could. That's what I was thinking too. How do we know it's not 11:15? You know?
Yeah, how do you know it's not any other time? Like at all? We don't know that.
I wish my mouse was bigger. Here, let me hang on here.
So if this is all that the police got, is this clerk taking a picture, these two pictures that we're seeing,
that's not, my mouse is never going to be big enough
with their phone.
That's not going to work.
And that's all the cops have because they waited too long and can't get this footage anymore. No way this is admissible in court. No way this is evidence. You can't build a timeline with this that's credible.
I agree. I agree with you. And I think this goes into what is our big concern here. I think this backs it 100%. I really do. I think it backs it 100%.
I mean, there's many things on top of this that concern me about the investigation.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I figure we'll touch on what we talked about in the video and kind of go through that, right? Where is, just to show people here. I wish I bookmarked where it was.
Free friend circle of the individuals. And I think that in and of itself
lost after a week, but it was lost after a week, but it was lost after a week, but I appreciate that. And I know that you're also tracking this issue. There was CCTV footage, but it was lost after a week, 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 but it was lost after a week. What happened there? Why wasn't it reviewed in time?
Okay. You know, I've tried to be very pro law enforcement in this case, and I am very much pro law enforcement. I do think that they are doing a good job. But one of the things that I did read that was slightly frustrating to me is that there was CCTV. As we know, there's a clerk at one of the convenience stores who came forward and said they had perhaps the Hyundai on CCTV. However, that CCTV was recorded over after a week. It was recorded over after a week. It was recorded over after a week, and that the footage was asked for about 3 to 4 weeks later, and that the footage was asked for about 3 to 4 weeks later, and that the footage.
All right, so there we go. For people that are caught up, and she said multiple things in this interview, guys, where I was like, oh my gosh, how is this still out there? This is a CIA agent, an ex-CIA agent, which I talked about briefly in the very beginning of this. So the difference in training, a CIA agent is 18 months of training, an FBI agent is 6 months of training. A local police officer is 6 weeks of training.
To be a lead investigator of a homicide, technically they're supposed to have more, though. They're supposed to have some extra special, you know, stuff on top of it, training on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah. There are a million ways that this can go. You can go tin hat with this, and does law enforcement know something was on there? and they know that it was going to be recorded out over in a week? Or did they really just have so little of a handle on this situation that they were stretched so thin that they didn't know what to do, you know? I
think
don't
there's
think
there's zero excuse. You know how many FBI agents and ISP agents they had assisting with these types of things like video canvassing?
I don't think the FBI call-in line was open yet, though. Didn't that open after 2 weeks?
It doesn't even matter. The FBI was there.
I get it, but what I'm following
We're
the
talking about
chain
video
of
canvassing.
custody here. So they were told that somebody called in to the PD, right? So that Moscow PD would be the one with this information. So the FBI wouldn't know to go reach out to them if they never got the information shared to them, is what I was trying to convey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I still think there's no excuse. I think they should have known. Like, you pull all the footage immediately. You don't ever want to take the chance of losing it. Like, you just don't want to take that chance.
I agree with you. I agree. I think the expectation, and any law enforcement agent, investigator would know this. You go out there and you gather everything as fast as you can to build some kind of direction of narrative and then pursue from there. I mean, you don't leave things a month. What is going on? And then Nancy Grace coming out and saying, you guys, this right here, this broke the case. This picture broke the case wide open. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say in this situation. I got to go to the bathroom, though, real quick. I'll be right back.
Just press the button. So, one thing that I wanted to look at, which, hold on, I'm going to have to get a mouse. Oh. That was hard to grab. Okay. So, other people may have done this before, but I'm very forgetful, and I don't remember where this gas station initially was when they, like, where this was, where this picture was taken, and I'm curious right now. And since Brendan just had to go to the bathroom, I would like to look it up. So I have a picture here on a New York Post article, and it says it's 802 Troy Road. And it's really weird to me that they caution taped off the whole gas station, like the pumps, like the shop inside. The whole gas station got taped off to go collect footage. Like, I'm so confused. What do you think that means? That they taped the whole thing off? Like, is that standard when they're going to collect footage of somebody just driving by? Or were they there to swab all the pumps? Or something like that? You know? Like, what were they doing? Like, did the gas station attendant not only say that this car drove by, but it also stopped and got gas? Because I'm really, really curious. Now, we wouldn't know that publicly, I'm guessing, but okay. I was just curious how far this was away. All right, let's see. So it's about 4 minutes away. So that's like the main drag right there, right? Yeah, yeah, it is. That seems kind of out of the way, no? That's never like the area I thought. But that's supposedly the gas station. Did you see it?
Yeah.
It seems more out of the way than I envisioned.
That's the main road.
Yeah, but I assumed it would be right here. That's what I assumed. It's not though.
Okay.
Because this is the house way over here.
Yeah.
Not the route that they have in their PCA. That's for sure. I was just curious, and since you got up, I wanted to look really quick. You can exit out of it now, though. Four-minute drive. It's 1.2 miles. It does take Steiner, though. Wasn't Steiner mentioned at some point?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think that it changes anything. That's clearly a main road in this area.
What do you
mean? That either
mean?
would have been driven out of.
Who said it changed anything? I think it's still important.
Yeah. You were just saying that it was down here.
I said it's not what I envisioned.
Oh.
Like,
Gotcha.
I didn't predict it that way. Like, I thought it would be there, but
Got it.
I mean, that is the main road, though.
Yeah.
So
it is.
But
Yeah.
that may end up proving Bryan Kohberger wasn't doing that loop. Like, that footage could have been exculpatory.
Yeah, it absolutely could have. It absolutely could have.
Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. So going into the I don't know where I left off, but for everyone hanging out on here with us, we appreciate you. You guys are awesome. Welcome to the True Crime Talk Show. Hit that like button and leave a comment under the video when you can. I know you can't during the live, but it will open up so you can after, and it helps us out tremendously. I can't even explain how much it helps us out. So we appreciate you for that. Okay, so moving on to the next piece here, which that's just insane. For me, I'm not going to be able to let that go. I think that is the biggest.
It's a big deal.
I literally think it's the single biggest proof that they did not do their job. So blown away, absolutely blown away. I think it's massive. For me, it means more than a messed up crime scene, because when you're on the crime scene, it is all a reaction. So the action already happened and they're reacting to the situation, and they might have not been in a crime scene like this. And I'm more likely to understand how a crime scene can be messed up. What I don't understand is somebody calling in and saying, hey, police officers, I think I have who you're looking for on our video cameras. And they're like, oh, cool. Thanks. We'll be out there when we can. And don't go out for a month. Mid-investigation.
Just ridiculous.
It's insane. Jennifer with a super chat. All right. I think the convenience store that had the footage recorded over might be Moscow Sunset Mart. It could be. I'm not sure why we think it's this one. It's wherever that picture was taken from. So I haven't looked this up. So I personally haven't verified it. I'm assuming you did, that it's for sure this one, right?
What?
That picture is from Sunset Mart.
I thought it was the food mart. The mobile gas station food mart.
It's whatever main gas station. So I didn't dig.
I mean, that picture came from this gas station.
Okay.
I know that for a fact.
What the verification I was looking at when I was doing my editing, that's why we normally don't dig in like this on here. But when it's the one I was looking at is part of the circular route that he took. So I just don't want to go digging into this, though. I can post it on our community page once I verify that. So it's wherever that picture came from. I have no idea what the name of the gas station is. So, and Steve coming through. Y'all got it going on. All right. We appreciate you and thank you for being here. That's incredible. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. How generous of you. Thank you.
Yeah, that is awesome. So I'll verify that. I'll verify that in between this live and tomorrow's live, and we will come back with a 100% confirmed answer. So moving on to the next bit of information is, and there's a lot, like they talked about so much in that interview. That was in a short amount of time. That's like the most information I've gotten from an expert in an interview. You know, the news reporter was very like systematically linear and okay, let's talk about this. Great comment. Let's talk about this. Great comment. And the toxicology reports, she says she has information that the locals didn't see any worth in the toxicology report.
Well, she said the coroner said there was no worth in the toxicology report.
She said the locals and then highlighted the coroner. So she was talking about everybody locally there.
Okay.
And that's huge. That is massive. I don't understand that. And I've sat here and thought specifically about that multiple different, I just spit multiple different times. And I sit here thinking, how could a police officer think the toxicology don't matter? Like, what could be going through their mind thinking the toxicology doesn't matter?
You know why I think they thought it didn't matter? And it's really quite simple. The reason I think that they didn't think that it mattered what was in their systems is because of the nature of their wounds, that no one would survive this. So drugs, it didn't kill them, so they don't matter. Clearly a knife killed them. So we don't worry about, you know, what's in their system. That doesn't tell us what killed them or who killed them.
I mean, that's kind of scary because the first thing I think of when I'm looking at that, and I'm nervous to say I think you're right, but I think it's very possible that yeah, that could be it. But my immediate thought when I thought about the toxicology was that if there are certain chemicals in their system, then those chemicals can be tied to people who supply those chemicals locally, right?
And here's another thing, is that to have things in your system, it doesn't mean that you have to be ingesting them in any type of way. People who traffic or are around trafficking will also have it in their system just through skin contact with it.
Yeah.
Just touching bags with their hands will have it in their system. So, you know, it is important. It is important.
Yeah.
You can't just write it off because this is a stabbing and drugs couldn't have been what killed them, then drugs aren't important. That's not true.
I agree. I think I think that any investigation that starts limiting the way that their investigation is going to go is already starting off on a problem, right? You're already creating a problem because it's not objective at that point.
Yeah. Without evidence to rule something out. Like if you're just like doing it off of your opinions, you know what I mean? And you don't have any evidence to rule something out, then yeah, I think you're going down tunnel vision territory.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's important for officers to be intuitive, but in the same respect, they have to remain objective and they have to look at the facts and they have to rule things out with evidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And that just continues to go back to the point that that toxicology could have told them a lot. It absolutely could have told them a lot. I'm going to give you a theory here, right? Let's say there's a completely different story how this crime went down. Let's say that the food delivery person was delivering drinks, and in those drinks was a substance, and that substance knocked them out. So that person just waited 20 or 30 minutes to come in the house, and then no fighting back.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like there's a missing persons case in Nashville, and if you guys don't know about it, you should definitely go look, especially if you're in the Nashville area. Riley Strain, he was given one drink at a bar and was wasted, like so wasted, and is now missing. There's so much footage. His ID was just found. His shirt was just found. With vomit all over it, hanging over like a fence or something, and his ID was not that far behind, laying on a sidewalk. They're searching the river. I think most people think he's going to be found in the river, but it makes you wonder, did somebody take advantage of him, drug him, take advantage of him, try to rob him, or is this like a smiley face killer type of situation? You know, because it honestly meets all the hallmarks for that theory, because it's a theory. There's nothing factual there yet, besides the fact that we have a ton of young men dying of drownings at unprecedented rates. But anyway, that's a thing, like drugging people to get them so that they're incapacitated so that you can easily overpower them. And if you're trying to kill 4 people or a whole house full of people and you're one person and you don't want them to fight back, that's a great way to go about it, is to drug them in some way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, that is a really great way to go about it. And that needs to be looked into.
Yeah, I mean, toxicology is important here. Yeah. Like we're saying, I wasn't saying toxicology wasn't important. I was explaining why I think the police ruled out the importance of the toxicology report so quickly, and I think that's wrong. But I think the reason that they did it is simple-minded, basically.
Yeah.
And I was explaining that reason because their blood alcohol content absolutely mattered. That could help determine time of death as well.
Yeah,
because it can affect those things. It can affect all the things they look at when trying to determine a time of death.
Yeah, how much alcohol is still left in the blood. I'm sure you could come out with some type of mathematical figure that would tell you, you know, how much should be in that blood. And while it is, you know, out in the air, unfortunately. But I agree. I think it is way too big of a deal. And it just continually over and over and over and over and over and over. As I'm looking at this Bryan Kohberger case, as I'm looking at this Idaho 4 massacre, I have less faith in this investigation, everything that I look into. Unfortunately, and Bryan Kohberger could be guilty, you guys. Bryan Kohberger could be innocent. And are we going to be able to know? I think that the prosecution has got themselves into, and I'm not saying it's the prosecution's fault, so don't take that the wrong way. I think the prosecution is in between a rock and a hard place, and they are going to see this through at this point, no matter what, even if they had 100% confirming, guaranteed exculpatory evidence for Bryan Kohberger, proving he is not the guy. They will not back off. They will not back off at this point. They're going to say, look, we had our guy. We had our guy. But, you know, the justice system is what it is.
It failed.
Yep.
Yeah.
They are not going to back off of this.
No, I think if, unfortunately, if Bryan Kohberger were to get off of these charges, this case would never have a resolution.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my concern. I mean, everything's being set up for that, whether it's intentional or not. And I'm not going down conspiracy hole saying, you know, they're definitely doing this on purpose. But like the removal of the house, okay? I don't care if Bryan Kohberger ends up getting off, like that house would have been helpful.
Invaluable.
Yeah.
Like it would have been very, very important.
Agreed. And then evidence like the gas station footage, okay? Why wasn't every single second of that footage picked up? Because maybe Bryan Kohberger was on that, right? Maybe he drove through this area and was doing his big loop or whatever that we know for a fact he did because we saw him in the grocery store and I think a coffee shop. I need to triple check that, but we know that he would go down in that area, that big loop, okay? How do we know that one, you know, he's not on that footage, and two, if somehow something happened, he ended up being proven not guilty or found not guilty in a court of law, and then they needed that footage to then identify another potential suspect.
Right.
That see, there is none.
That's my issue in all this. So we have 3 male DNAs that are unidentified that they clearly tried to run through CODIS and didn't get a hit and didn't try to see whose they were after that. Like they got such a minuscule amount of Bryan Kohberger's DNA and did the IgG and all of that stuff with it. But then these other 3, we don't know where they are and we don't know what happened to them. And neither does Ann Taylor, apparently. Those are invaluable. Like those could be really helpful in identifying co-defendants or other, you know, defendants if, you know, Bryan Kohberger were to be let off of this. Also, like, so that's one where I feel like it's similar to the footage. It's like a little too late. Like, you know what I mean? Like they had their chance and they messed it up. The home, letting the university tear it down. And then when we look at the crime scene, only taping off the home and not the property, at least the property.
I know. And we showed that.
And I believe it should have been the whole block, you guys. I think it should have been the whole block, including the Linda Lane apartments, including all the way down to, you know, the little house down there, the frat house at the end, like King Road, the cul-de-sac. I think all of of it, including Banfield, should have been caution taped off. I'm not even kidding. In a college town where people could go out running in all directions and you don't know where you could find a murder weapon hidden, you don't know where you could find a blood trail, they should have been looking everywhere. And then you slowly bring it in, you know, after like a few hours or maybe a day, you bring it in to just the property. They didn't do that. They literally got there and just taped off the house. Not even the cars. They didn't even tape off the cars. And then the jacket that they pick up with their hands and then throw back down. Like if you, the cops, what they're supposed to do, what they are trained to do is, even if you think it's not important, but if for a second you think it could possibly be, you just grab everything. It doesn't even matter. Even if you think it could not matter, you grab everything and worry about it later.
Yeah.
Bag it and tag it.
Yeah.
That is the rule. They weren't doing that.
No, they weren't.
That's what's scary. And it makes you wonder, what was it like inside the house? If we're seeing all this on the outside with them taping off only the home, with them doing that to the jacket and the glove, and this footage, what was it like inside the home? How about they mess that up?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. But it's huge questions, absolutely massive and huge questions around it, because I agree. There are problems from the very beginning. There are problems that
there are crime scene standards. Okay, they were not followed.
Yeah,
they were
so
not.
What that's what I was going to say. What we would have expected to see in this situation is, like you said, in my opinion, what should have been done is they should have cordoned off and shut down the road all the way down
to the entrance.
To the entrance. And then what they should have done is grabbed officers and walked shoulder to shoulder up the road, picking up literally anything, cigarette butts. They should have been looking for nail clippings. They should have been looking for blood spots. They should have been
checking drains for a knife.
Yes, everything, walking shoulder to shoulder. Here's another interesting thing. You know, they didn't check outside for days.
No, they didn't check outside for days.
4 days. So any evidence that could have been out there,
could have been ruined.
Correct.
And gone.
Yeah.
Yep. That's my point. They only taped off the home and worried about the home. That's why they didn't find the glove, you guys. That's why they didn't find the glove. That's why they didn't put any focus on the jacket, because they were literally only caring about what was inside the home.
Yeah.
That is bizarre. That makes no sense. That is so just unexperienced. It's like, I feel like
it's concerning.
It's concerning because I feel like so many like true crime junkies could have done a better job than the police did, at least with the initial response. Like, yeah, we need to tape all this off and we need to look at everything.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people out there, I think, that could have done a better job. And it's really weird to me that all these cops and like them calling ISP and getting help, like, why did so many things fall through the cracks?
I don't know. And me personally, I don't normally lean conspiratorial. That's just not where I go, you guys. A lot of times working in corporate America, being an analyst, working with numbers and metrics, like endless amount of these things, I tend to look at minor mistakes that can become bigger problems, because that's pretty standard in any business and or industry. So a lot of times when I'm looking at these situations, I feel like there is a small mistake, but you got to remember, like, if this is our path, right? If this is our path and there's one small mistake here, you get further and further and further from the truth as you move forward. There's no way not to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I feel like a lot of times that's what we see. Am I saying conspiracies aren't real? Absolutely not. Conspiracies are real. We've seen them.
Oh, yeah.
100%. We've seen them. I'm not going to name the case right now because it's so political, but you guys know what I'm talking about. There are true ones, like without a doubt, true conspiracies out there. So I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just not the most likely scenario. So just like when a doctor is trying to figure out what's wrong with somebody, they start with the most likely thing and work down from there. So that's what I tend to do in these situations. And I think the most likely scenario is incompetence, and then trying to cover up your incompetence, which in my opinion, you guys, those tend to come hand in hand. I don't know about you, but they tend to come hand in hand from people I've seen, where they're incompetent, make mistakes, rather than saying, hey, whoa, I wasn't trained. I'm sorry. Maybe I need some help on this. It tends to be covered up. Like, well, let's just fix this. Let's just, you know what I mean? But what?
I cannot believe what I just found.
What?
So So I saw somebody say tire print, and I was like, that's so weird, because literally just the other day, I saw a video where somebody was saying, you know, it said that the person was speeding off or something like that. Surely they could get a tire print, and that could actually give you what type of car the person was driving, because what the tires are made of, it can be very specific sometimes.
Sure can.
And it's really good evidence.
And we heard a screech in the footage.
Yeah.
Well, screech or scream. I tend to feel like it's a screech, but yeah.
Well, yeah. And it said in the PCA that supposedly the suspect vehicle 1 screeched off, like it took off at a high rate of speed. Exactly. Like that's what it said. Well,
which that's the wrong time, and that's interesting. But
this is something it's going to take me a minute to flesh out. But Daily Mail has an article from November 21st, 2022, saying that they got a source close to the investigation who claimed that the incompetent Idaho cops likely obliterated crucial evidence and have botched the investigation in the student murders. And this comes days after they were saw. So this is six full days after the bodies were discovered. And the cops were seen on Monday measuring tire tracks in the driveway of the home. So again, like we were just saying, it took them days to look outside, you guys. They were outside 6 full days later looking at tire tracks.
That wouldn't work because cops pulled up and
they pulled straight up in the driveway.
They did. Yep. They
tainted their own dang crime scene. Also, they were expanding their crime scene. They were extending the tape. So officers appeared to be expanding their search by cordoning off the section of woods behind the home as they search for the murder weapon. What?
Yeah. How many days?
6 days. 6 days later is when they finally went outside to the woods and started looking for the murder weapon.
Trust me, I know. I'm telling you, that blew me away.
Well, see, here's the thing: is it's really interesting to me that we're getting it both ways. We're hearing both sides. So in the first 2 months after this crime, or basically month, everybody was hating on the cops, you guys.
They sure
the
were.
Families were pissed. They were outraged. They were like,
so.
Yes. And they were like, they are not going to find this guy. Like, nobody thought they were going to. They genuinely thought something was wrong here. Like, the cops are not doing a good job. They are incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. Because look at stuff like this. Like, the world was seeing this.
Yeah.
Them not handling the crime scene properly. And then the PCA comes out and suddenly the narrative shifts like nothing I have ever seen before. Like literally like flicking a light switch, and the cops became geniuses. Like, guys, they just didn't want us to know they were on Bryan Kohberger's tail that whole time. Look at all of this incredible evidence they have. You know what's really interesting also is that literally like 2 weeks before Bryan was arrested, there was somebody saying, or no, it wasn't 2 weeks. It was actually right after. I'm remembering what I was watching now. So Court TV did a special after Bryan was arrested, and once he was extradited to Idaho, and we were waiting on the PCA.
Yeah.
And it was the night of, and they were saying in the morning when he wakes up, you know, in Latah County Jail, he's going to go to court and do all of that stuff, be read his rights, and we're going to get the PCA.
Okay.
Well, they had an expert come on and say what he thought a good PCA would be. Do you know what he said?
What?
Well, DNA, cell phone pings, you know, camera footage of the car. He literally listed off everything that's in the PCA, point by point.
Okay.
Cell phone pings, DNA, camera footage of the car.
Yeah, to back the story of where is that comment? To back the story that it's a solid one. Like putting the story out that this is what's expected to have a solid PCA, and then that PCA is
comes
there to
out
be like,
and confirms to everyone this is a solid PCA.
But what's interesting, and I got to be objective with that, and there's a comment. So all of them come in here, right? The starred.
Yeah, all of the super chats always go there.
All right, I thought so. I just wanted to make sure. And then Okay, right there. Can't see dog coming through with the super chat. We appreciate you. Can't get a warrant to go to door, getting people's DNA without a reasonable suspicion. Yeah, I mean, in a situation like this, I feel like there are some special circumstances where they'll allow it, and they'll also like it's a catch-22. Are you right? Yes, absolutely you're right. Anyone can deny giving DNA, but
a lot of people will offer it up.
Correct.
And if you don't, then you're suspicious.
Exactly.
And they look at you more. So they go to people like
and
all
it's not right, but
like Jack DeCourt. Like and he gave up his DNA. Now, here's another interesting thing that I wanted to just mention tonight. I know this isn't what we're on, but it makes you, I guess it is a good thing to bring up, because we just talked about Jack Showalter lately, or recently, Hoodie Guy. Here's another missed opportunity. Well, you remember how you said you thought that he didn't give his DNA?
Yeah.
That there was a rumor
that he supposedly left before the DNA and whatever.
I found a news clipping on, I think it was on Bandfield, where she says Steve is mad, that the Goncalves family is so mad because they just found out about Hoodie Guy or whatever, and they found out that he didn't give his DNA to the cops and took off and is probably out of the country. That was stated on Ashley Banfield. I never knew where that came from.
That makes sense.
It came from Banfield, and she claims Steve told her that he didn't give his DNA to the cops and he's likely already out of the country.
Wow. Yeah.
I just watched that earlier today.
That is wild.
I didn't know that's where it came from. I had no idea.
But what I was going to say earlier, I want to finish that because I want to always, you guys, the goal of the True Crime Talk Show and Thought Riot podcast is to be objective and give both sides of the equation. So with that PCA, look, if that PCA had confirming evidence of all of these things, I do think it could be strong. If there is cell phone and cast report evidence placing him at the house, dude, that's really strong. If he had DNA, even though it is touch DNA, and I get that, and I don't think that's enough to convict alone, in my opinion. There's a reason why our military doesn't use or allow touch DNA, but touch DNA on site with confirming cell phone evidence and pictures and videos proving his car was in the area, that's a strong PCA. Where the questions start coming in, though, is when you start looking into the evidence that's submitted in the PCA. As soon as you start digging into that PCA, you realize that there are issues with how it's being described. I just so happened to notice the first holes when it comes to the cast report. Those were the first holes that I noticed. And then from there, it just kept going, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And to then learn and understand DNA, and, you know, that's something that I've been slowly digging into this certain aspect of DNA, and we'll probably do another one real soon about it, because DNA is so interesting, and it's so interesting how easy it is to manipulate or have a biased opinion of somebody's DNA in a situation. It's scary. It's scary.
You know,
but
what?
I was just going to move on to another topic that they had talked about just lightly. I think it's really interesting because we've talked about this a couple different times. I think it's very interesting that she goes on to talk about a death row inmate who gave their personal opinion and statement of how they would have conducted this crime. And they said they would have been waiting inside for them. You know how many people have brought that up?
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
When we did your commission of the crime video, that's what you said would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and let me give you this suggestion, you guys. So Xana and Ethan's door was locked. It was locked. Okay.
I mean, you mean when they were found?
Yeah, when they were found.
Do we know that?
I mean,
or is that just
based on firsthand statements and eyewitness statements? Obviously, I don't have a video of them walking in there and saying, "Whoa, this door's locked. Let me show you it's locked." Okay. So there's a couple objective pieces of evidence that support that. One, we know that she had a type of lock on there that when it closes, it locks or whatever, so that you have to be able to unlock it when you get into it. And the door supposedly was closed. Two, there was somebody in front of the door that they had to force open. Okay. So could Xana and Ethan, who have been brought up questions around them being home first, could they have been the first set of crimes? Then whoever it is clean up themselves enough not to track BLOD through the house and then go upstairs and wait for the other two.
See, I envisioned the opposite. I envisioned them waiting up in Maddie's room. And
I mean, that does feel more likely with the dog.
It feels more likely with the dog, with at least Dylan's statement, which who knows what's real, and the whole you know, somebody's here comment. It made me wonder, like, you know, how long was that time period in all actuality? You know, and I still think that it makes sense for Xana and Ethan to be second, unless they were the targets.
Yeah, it depends on what storyline you're
what theory of the case.
Yeah, if we're talking 4chan, frat boy,
then it all happened at the same time, essentially.
Then more than likely it all happened at the same time. If you're talking, you know, a driver and a suspect, a lookout and a suspect, or maybe two people or one person, I mean, that will vary a lot. That will vary a huge amount. And that can change everything. I think that could change everything around this, but it's definitely interesting. And I think another piece of supporting evidence is, well, one, we don't know if Dylan Mortensen's statement is correct. We have no idea. Okay. If you guys haven't seen our video that's about interrogations, you guys should watch that video. It is so interesting. And that talks about, and from another CIA perspective, a guy that worked directly with the CIA. And it goes into the current techniques used by interviewers and why it's so easily manipulated. So I'll try and pull that up here. But I agree with you. I think it makes more sense if they're upstairs. That's just a less conspicuous place to hide and start it.
Yep.
Right?
It is.
So all right, let's move on to the dog. The dog's a big deal, man.
Another thing that was slipped through the cracks, basically. Another thing that they really should have looked into and didn't.
Yeah, do you want to give the rundown?
So yeah, Bryan Kohberger said in an interview, I think he was talking to Banfield, where, and we showed the video on the video.
Interview.
Yeah, on our video from earlier, but where he says that the dog was taken, Murphy was taken to the pound immediately, that he wasn't in the part of the home where the crime happened. You know, we all know now that Murphy was locked in Kaylee's bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So they just immediately took him to the pound and did not forensically test him.
Yeah, that is
like, what if he was put in there by the killer?
That is
what if the killer
wild.
Petted him?
I
what if the killer
agree.
kicked him or hurt him somehow, and you just aren't noticing that?
It doesn't make much sense.
Like, they didn't give him a look over at all. Like dog's fur could hold all kinds of different fibers, and like, I don't know. I just am so confused. Why would they not test the dog?
The only thing that I could think of is again, just not having the experience that was expected from an investigation and law enforcement agency that was needed to conduct a thorough investigation. That's the only thing I can think of. Look, something that has been talked about is this crime and the trauma that the officers received from having to be a part of this investigation and crime. I think that's real.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And I don't think they had the experience of ever managing a case and crime scene like this one.
No, never.
We've literally looked into almost every weird death occurrence in this area. None of them are anywhere close to this. Absolutely none of them. And having to go in there with no experience, seeing people in that manner, being around that, whatever it may be, could be shocking. It can throw you off your game. You all of a sudden are feeling like a trauma response versus the objective awareness that we expect our officers to have. And mistakes can be made.
Yeah. I am going to bring up next week a case that's local that I think is interesting, though. That'll help us kind of, look at that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the trauma is real. Like, one that really sticks out to me, a case where the officers were severely traumatized and have talked about it, is the Dowerman case with the little boys.
Yeah.
Like, the cops and the prosecutor have said that out like many times, like how badly it messed with them. And this couldn't be much different. Like, they may not have been young children, but they were young, and they were somebody's children, and they were just starting their lives, and it was gruesome. Like, it had to have been awful. The whole experience, the whole sensory experience, okay, of all of it had to have been so traumatic to see.
Yeah.
To just be in the vicinity of.
Yeah.
I'm sure that could affect the way you're thinking when you're investigating a crime, but that's also why you have these outside jurisdictions that came in to help.
Yes.
And these forensic labs are supposed to, like, this is their job, like, to analyze this kind of evidence.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's strange. There is no excuse. Let me say it like that. There is no excuse for it.
Right.
But do I understand it from a human perspective?
And feel for them, yeah. Of course.
Yeah, I understand it from a human perspective. The other big thing, and we've talked about this on multiple of our videos, when we talked about the fact that they only collected 113 pieces of physical evidence. Number one, what? Dude, what are you talking about? 113 pieces of physical evidence. It doesn't matter if you think Bryan Kohberger is guilty, and it doesn't matter if you think he's innocent. There is no argument for that to be acceptable. Someone can try to argue that, but there is no argument. What the expectation would have been in a crime scene like that is 4 times that, at least. At the bare minimum. That's on the lower end of the scale. Per person, 4 times that, at least. It's expected for 2 separate crime scenes, but to be between 400 and 800 pieces of physical evidence in a crime scene where you don't have, where it's an unsub and you don't know who the suspect is. Where you don't know who the suspect is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Hey.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. That's why I'm wearing green.
Yeah, I'm wearing green too.
A lot of people said they liked my green. What? You're not wearing green?
Yeah, I am.
I think you need a pinch. You're not wearing green.
I'm wearing green. I just can't show everyone I'm wearing green, okay?
Okay. I don't want to see.
Does green money count?
Does Scott Green have to wear green?
Oh, good question.
Green's in his name.
I don't know. Man, that's a good one.
Does his last name being Green that means that like he likes all things that are green.
Yeah. Yeah. Scott Green's a character, man. He's a character. You know, there's been decisions that have been made in this case since you brought up Scott Green. And I almost feel like some decisions have been made that feels it could be intentional to cause the case to go off the rails a little bit. I do. I just don't.
What?
The Scott Green stuff doesn't make sense. He's supposed to be a smart, intelligent businessman. He is supposed to be able to understand corporate America and how it functions and works. He is supposed to be able to see and expect the outcome of decisions that have yet to be made. Like, that is the expectation of somebody in a position like him. The decisions that have been made, I do not see that. I don't.
So you don't see good business decisions.
I do not see good business decisions. Absolutely not. I don't. Absolutely not. A good business decision wouldn't be putting out a book to make it seem like, oh, hail me, I made it so safe here. It would be coming out in front of news and media and presenting to people, look, we trust our cops. We love our cops. We love this city. And if our police says this is the guy, we support them and we know it's the guy. So our students are safe, you know? It would be some kind of statement like that. We don't see that. We see a maximization on monetary gains for personal monetary gains. Strange.
Yeah. I mean,
why won't it let me?
What would you even point out as?
Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Not enough to drive. That's coming through with a gifted ThoughtRiot podcast membership. We appreciate you. Yeah,
yes. Thank you, Mikey.
Yep, Mikey.
What would you classify as a business decision other than him writing the book? The book was clearly a bad decision.
Yeah, and I mean,
is tearing down the house a business decision?
Yeah, I don't think.
Is that bad?
Yes, I think so. I do.
So, what's the other business decision?
The purchase of the Phoenix school.
Was that bad decision?
I think it was. Yeah, I do think it was.
Why?
Because it has a horrible reputation. It is in the midst of an investigation into it with a potential owing of hundreds of millions of dollars to the federal government for tax evasion and or fraud. It is, in my opinion, a bad business decision and move. Yeah.
Okay. And what's another one? Being involved in briefings every day. Is that a business decision?
Yeah, I mean,
not really on his part though, is it?
Yeah, I absolutely
so
think
it's a mutual decision between him and the police.
You think the police came to him and were like, Scott Green, we love you so much, please come in our war rooms twice a day?
No,
right,
but they allowed him in.
They did,
which is their
I'm
bad.
Not saying it's only his fault, but I do think that is a bad business decision, because when you're part of an investigation, you should be doing two things, especially in an investigation where you know that it has the amount of eyes on it that it has. And the two things you should be doing is planning ahead and planning for you should be investigating with the trial in mind. So every decision you should make, you should be thinking, could this be called out in court? Can this be used against us in court? And I think a lot of those decisions can be. I think that book is ammo to move the the trial. I think the monetary gains that are coming from this is ammo to move the trial. I think that it shows his local. He's a local. That shows his bias. Okay. And that's what the prosecution is saying right now, that look, there's no local bias. There is no local bias. Show us proof. Okay. Pull Scott Green's book out. There's a very simple, easy piece of truth or proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also thought it was weird. I think the last like visible public decision we saw was him being involved in the press conferences.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is really strange too.
I don't know if it's a bad business decision, but it was odd.
Listen, in corporate America, I've been in corporate America my whole life, in Fortune 100 companies, you guys, that Fortune 100 companies, okay? You separate from situations like this. If you see there could be a situation that will have that will paint a bad image on your company, you separate from it. You don't lean into it.
Right.
And what's interesting is the school was leaning into it.
They were.
And that feels strange.
That feels weird.
It feels so strange. And in my opinion, the defense can also lean into that. How capable was this investigation, prosecutors? We have police officers who let some random citizen in their war rooms twice a day. Did that random citizen speak during those war rooms twice a day? Do you have proof of that? Did that random citizen give suggestions on the direction of the investigation? Did that random citizen give input on potential suspects that were students that could be looked into locally? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can be used against the prosecution. I do.
I think it could be too. I think the defense has a lot of things that don't look so good that we've all been seeing that they could really, you know, press into. They could really lean into those things.
I totally agree.
Are you about to show this?
No.
The cars? Because that's another thing. Is the victims' cars were towed off and left in a parking lot that was not guarded, that we could see, that had no fences. Anybody could walk up to these cars. And they were buried in snow, and they didn't even go through them again till like, I think it was like a while later, like weeks, like 2 weeks. When did they go through the cars? Do you remember?
I don't think they did.
They never went through them?
I don't think
so. Well,
so.
I know that the Goncalveses said that when they got Kaylee's car back, it was like a time capsule. That all her stuff was in it, like her wallet and all these things, and it's like they didn't even go through her car.
Yeah, I don't think police went through it. And
I mean, the Goncalves don't think they went through Kaylee's car because, like they said, it was like she had just left her car. Like it was the way she left it is how it seemed. Which is kind of nutso to me. I don't know why you would leave the victims' cars and not go through them. That's weird.
Yeah.
Should have went through every single one of those cars.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the cars. In a parking lot, covered in snow, no fences.
Yeah.
Anybody can walk back there and mess with them.
Man, I can't believe I forgot to mention this, you guys. So we finally got Google to look into our account and stuff with all the stuff that's been going on that I've been open with everyone about with like bots and things like that. Just pay close attention to your subscriptions and your memberships on here because as they filter through people, I saw a pretty big drop in subscribers. I'm assuming that if you meet certain criteria or something's going on that they see in your user analytics, they're going to, you know, remove people from the channel and or block. So just keep an eye on that. You know, we put out content every day. If a day goes by and you happen to not see anything, just triple check your Thought Riot podcast subscription, make sure it's still there. So, you know. But yeah, so here we go. That's where they were. Right out in the open. Look at that. Is that a trailer back there that someone could have access to? Well, so it's a request. There's a couple reasons why YouTube can do that. And I won't go too deep into it, but we asked them to please look into our account because some funky stuff is going on and we finally have enough evidence of it. Like, so anyways, but just keep an eye out, you know, just keep an eye out.
Yeah. And maybe they move the cars again to somewhere else, but this is where they were, at least temporarily.
Oh, I wish I was just complaining about it. That'd be much better. But yeah, I mean, this is what they claim. They just moved it to temporarily, but they were here for weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks.
Yep. And you guys, Emma Bailey is not actually in our chat. I just want to let you know that. It's not the Emma Bailey.
But so yeah, I mean, you guys, in my opinion, if I'm the prosecutor or if I'm the investigator, the cars would have been looked into that day.
Yep.
Unfortunately, right?
Especially Ethan and Xana.
Yeah.
Because there was that unaccounted for time that they were trying to figure out for a while.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you look in their cars?
I don't understand. I don't get it. And unfortunately, like looking at the crime scene, it was very clear those victims were gone, and had been gone for hours and hours and hours by the time law enforcement got there. So I would think
8-hour time delay.
Yeah. And I would think that their number one goal as soon as they get there is like, oh, we have victims, close out all of it off, get everybody out. Anybody that was here before law enforcement got here, you need to go sit on that curb way down there. I'm going to have an officer who's standing with you. All these cars that are here need to get out of this street because we're about to close it down until we can get a walkthrough of this. We need to get into their cars. We need to walk around the house because we need to start outside first. Outside in. Outside, yeah. First, because that is the most likely evidence that is going to get messed up by weather, by cold, by wind, by who knows what.
Well, I mean, they still should have had their forensic team in there, tending to the bodies and the evidence inside, but they should also have officers outside walking that outside area the first day. They should have them out there. But they still, obviously, like they have limited time inside too with the bodies.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way it was handled is not, there's no excuse. There was problems. And as I just told you guys, I just saw that Daily Mail article. Like back then in the first month, they were being heavily criticized because the public was seeing this. The media, mainstream media was attacking the Idaho cops. Saying, what are you doing? Like, this looks horrible. You guys suck.
I know.
And it all changed with the PCA.
Like one day to the next.
Literally did a 180.
You're right. And I can't even explain how many times we've touched on that, like why mainstream media does it. It makes sense. I understand it. Mainstream media who knows? Maybe they're the ones messing with our channel even, because they don't like when there are people out there that don't agree with them, and they benefit off agreeing with officers and backing the boys in blue, even if they're wrong, because then they get stories, then they get information, then they get help, then they get, sure, we'll let you record on the court steps, but nobody else, because, you know, you got our back. Like, there are reasons there, right? There are reasons there.
Yep, exactly.
So it is crazy. The whole situation is crazy, in my opinion. This video just blew me away, though.
Yeah. So how many of you out there knew that they had lost footage?
Oh, yeah. Good call out, because we did do this here. Hang on here.
You did a poll?
Yeah, I did do a
Nice.
poll. I did it a couple days ago too. So
it should have pretty good results then.
Yes. So let me see. What item has been lost by police in the Bryan Kohberger case? Let's see what we got here. All right. What item has been lost by police in the Bryan Kohberger case? The interview of Bryan Kohberger. I've also heard that, you guys. I have also heard that. Bryan Kohberger's phone records, the video of Bryan Kohberger's car, the original DNA sample of Bryan Kohberger's single source, Bryan Kohberger's second phone. Interesting, not many people heard about the car.
The car video.
I'm telling you, when I heard this, jaw on the floor. Bam.
So, interview of Bryan Kohberger. I have heard that they lost an interview of that.
Me too.
I don't know if there's any factual basis to that, though, at all. I think more of the problem is that they didn't record the interview from the beginning. It sounds like the FBI did. The FBI did indeed record their interview, and they have that. But Moscow PD did not record theirs.
Right. Exactly.
Not that they lost it. They literally didn't record it. But we've also heard, remember that the autopsies went missing?
Yeah.
That they couldn't find those for a while?
Yeah. Yep. I know. What is going on over there in Moscow?
I don't know. But the footage of the car is one that we have the most evidence for.
Yeah.
I mean, and we have that motion from Ann Taylor actually asking for evidence from the autopsies that was taken by officers like Tolson. But
yeah. The interview of Bryan Kohberger, maybe Bryan Kohberger's phone records. Who knows? The video of Bryan Kohberger's car, the original DNA sample of Bryan Kohberger's, or Bryan Kohberger's second phone. Interesting. For sure. One thing that I didn't do that I said I was going to do in the beginning of the show, you guys, is post the Discord link. Quite a few people have been asking about that again. I think the old link must be out or something like that. But so for anybody that's new on here, welcome. We are super happy that you're here hanging out with us. Please hit that like button and please leave a comment under the videos you watched. If you watched that previous video tonight that we're talking about right now, please leave a comment under the video, even if it's like an emote, even if it's just saying hi, hello. It helps support us, and it is the most amazing thing that you could do for a channel. It does so much to help that video get seen. It is actually weighed upon more than anything, more than watch times, more than anything. So hitting that like and a comment goes a long way, and thank you ahead of time for that, you guys. Then we have the Discord invite here, which, like you see this chat, you know, on the right hand side, Discord's I guess kind of similar like that, where it's more investigations into topics that we're covering. It is a way to get alerts when we have new stuff coming out, because YouTube sometimes doesn't do it as reliably. So there's the invite for Discord right there, and clicking that will take you there. If you don't know the who, what, where, and why of Discord, I always suggest going on YouTube and searching the video. So check it out, and yeah, we appreciate it.
Definitely.
And
Discord's
then remember,
a great place to continue the conversation.
Yeah, and then remember, all of our social media is /ThoughtRiot Podcast. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Patreon, we are on Substack, we are on multiple, literally everything. If it's a social media out there, we're on it. So you can find us on any of it at /ThoughtRiot Podcast. So we appreciate you. Thank you. And I'm not sure what else was there on that. So I think we covered everything in that video.
Yeah, I think we did.
So here, I need to link that video one more time for our fans on here that
because if you're only watching the true crime talk show, then you're really only getting half the story. Because most of our research is put into ThoughtRiot Podcast, where we, you know, actually show receipts and things like that. That's like what that show's for. And talking about the research we've done. And then we come here and talk about it further. And, you know, kind of afterthoughts, things that we found since looking into it. And presenting it on there, because sometimes, like, you know, during the editing process and looking into it more, we'll realize things. And, you know, it's like, I don't know, you get the full story if you watch both shows.
Yeah.
And the clips,
you.
the premieres that we do, those are clips from a long podcast that goes up every Friday.
Yeah. What's interesting, though, is a lot of people that are true crime, or the true crime talk show viewers, don't watch the pre-recorded content. We have a lot of people that are on the pre-recorded content, and
I know, that's what I'm doing.
They don't watch the true crime talk show. It's like they prefer one or the other. I think the chat, for a lot of people, some people don't like it, you know, but then you have some people that really love it. Yeah, I think any of it's fine. But for anybody else, you know, if the chat bothers you, you can close the chat. You don't have to see it. You can just close it and, you know, listen to the think tank. So yeah, we are. Are you posting it?
Yes, we're about to switch over to the members here in a minute. So I'm posting the members link. And thank you, Mikey, for the super chat. We're glad you're here.
Yes. And what
we
do
appreciate the show.
What we do in the members is continue the conversation and talk directly with the chat and hang out and dig in a little bit further. It's a super fun time, and I really enjoy it. So if you want to come hang out in the members only, you can join that members through that link that we just posted. And yeah, it's a good time. Man, I'm going to keep digging into this, but those videos tonight blew me away. Literally blew me away. I don't even know what to think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty wild. I had no idea they lost footage and that was stated publicly. Like I had no idea. But I wanted to say if you guys can't afford a membership, don't worry, don't fret because we do give out a large number of memberships every month. So if you hang around long enough, you most likely will get your shot as long as you got gifts turned on, which that membership link should take you to a page where you can find your gifting settings, or wait until somebody gives the gifts and then it'll prompt you in the chat to turn your gifts on for this channel. But if you don't want to wait and then possibly miss getting that gift, I suggest the membership link. It can be a little hard to find. What I found is that pretty much every time you click on that membership link, it'll give you a pop-up and there'll be 3 dots and you press that and that'll take you to membership settings. Like, like when you have a window pop up and there's like 3 dots up in the corner, it's like that. And it depends on what device you're on, but most of the time it is those 3 dots and you press on it and there should be a membership, like gifting, some kind of gifting setting. Yeah, I'm talking about here on YouTube. We have memberships and we're about to head to that membership live, which is here on YouTube. Our Discord is totally free. And Patreon, there's a free tier on there too. Did you post the Discord link?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's totally free. You have to have the link, but it's free.
Yeah. Oh, memberships coming through. All right. Isabel coming through with 5 ThoughtRiot podcast memberships. That is incredible. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely incredible. Theta Rho Pi. That is our TRP, ThoughtRiot podcast, right? TRP, Theta Rho Pi.
That's our fraternity.
Yeah.
It's a joke. Inside joke.
Yes. It's a good time. It's a good time. But yeah, look, the show has been doing amazing, you guys. So I just want to tell you all thank you. Even with all the drama and people trying to hold the show back.
All the trolling.
Botting. Yeah. You guys have been pushing it forward. We've literally doubled everything we've ever done on every platform. And that's even with like some videos not being accessible in the way that they have been previously, and just really random, ridiculous stuff that, we have people that take care of it for that. But it's literally one of the greatest months we've ever had. So just thank all of you. You know who you are. If you're here to hang out with us and you have a good time, and if you're not here to hang out and you have negative intentions, okay, welcome to the show. I'm not worried about it. And I'm not even gonna comment on it, but
it's not here nor there. I mean,
yeah, it's just not worth commenting about it. But yeah, anyways, so thank everybody who is here for the show. We appreciate all of you.
Yes, very much so. And again, thank you, Isabel, for gifting those memberships.
Yes.
Hooking people up.
Absolutely. You guys are incredible. Incredible. All right, we are switching over to the members only ThoughtRiot podcast. Idaho 4, continuation, conversation, Theta Rho Pi. I wish I could eat pie while I was doing it. That would be really great. But anyways, we are switching on over. So, oh shoot, I forgot to give the link for the show, especially for like the new members. Hang on 1 second, you guys. And remember, if you didn't comment on or leave a like on the video we watched right before this, please do. I just posted the link for you to that video. It does so much. Let me post this here. So members, good. Yes. Okay. There we go. All right.
But to all of you who are not members, we appreciate you all the same. And we'll see you tomorrow at 8:15 for the premiere, 9 for the live. Usually that's typically the time, around the time.
I see people asking about the memberships. Real quick breakdown. So when you buy gifted memberships, you cannot select where they go. It is completely random, you guys. 100% completely random. It is not. I can't give suggestions. I can't do anything.
Nope.
The computer just and you just hope. So I couldn't give one to a specific person, even if no matter what. So
it really sucks. I wish that they would let us give them to specific people sometimes. But especially people who seem to be getting like, you know, looked over and over. But it doesn't let us, unfortunately. So there are some ways apparently you can make yourself be more favorable, like leaving comments and things like that.
Hitting like and leaving comments. And I suggest looking it up. You never I just feel weird as a content creator being like, oh yeah, if you do this, you get this. But look, I would just look it up.
Look it up for sure. See what the, you know, the data says.
All right, you guys. So that is it for the True Crime Talk Show. And we have Cynthia coming through last minute. 5 gifted memberships. That's incredible. Cynthia, you are amazing. We're super stoked to have you here. And thank you.
She's so generous. A generous queen.
She is. But that is it for the True Crime Talk Show, brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. My name's Brendan.
And I'm Malia. See you later. See you tomorrow. Have a good night.
We will see you next time.